Looks like we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for those who joined us. Thank you also for those who are watching the YouTube on-demand broadcast down the road. Just a reminder for those of you who are watching this down the road is we are recording this on October 23rd, 2022. And we mentioned this to remind you that if we talk about some compliance issues in the question and answer session, to please double check with the documents online that they are the most up-to-date documents, which obviously they will be, any policies will be up to date that were mentioned today, but those change at least twice a year after the board meetings. Joining us today our two volunteer content experts, Candice Grayson, who is an MLT educator on RCAP, Laura Ahonen, who is a FODMI educator on PARC, and then we have a few different staff members today. Megan Eggert, our meetings and events planner, Jesse Jasso, program accreditation coordinator and review liaison, and my name is Mark Spence. I work with phlebotomy and clinical assistant programs. So today we're just going to go over the workshop we have coming up in November. That workshop is November 3rd. It is from 7:30 a.m. Central to 4 p.m. Central. The in-person portion of the website will be in Chicago, Illinois, conveniently located right off the Blue Line for those who are flying into O'Hare. And it'll also be hosted online, so it will be a hybrid workshop. Fees are as you see below. Also, we do have our early bird registration fee, which I want to point out. That's October 3rd. After that, the fees do go up, and all registration closes on October 24th. These details are easily accessible on the NAACLS homepage, NAACLS.org. Now, to get into the details on the actual workshop itself, I'm going to hand it over to Candice Grayson.
Thank you. Our intention with the workshop is we have a title of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Taming the NAACLS Accreditation Process by Evaluating Examples of Submissions. So our intention, Laura and I have seen several self-studies and site visit reports, and we want to provide an overview of not just the process, but give you some examples and some helpful tips. So we have several objectives that we intend to cover. The first one is to investigate the accreditation process from application packet through interim report. We thought it was important to share with you how to get started, whether you are an initial program or a new PD, getting through that initial process, going through the preliminary report, the self-study, the site visit, and then also every time that you have some feedback that you're giving. You'll see later in one of the objectives, number 4, where we describe the required processes for continued accreditation, including completion of progress report or interim report. We also intend to discuss following up afterwards, that you've done the site visit, but now you have an interim, or making sure that you're staying up and current with other required reporting features. So we do want to go over all those reports and try to give you some tips and tricks. I'm going to turn it over to Laura to describe our goals and intentions for 2 and 3.
All right. Yeah, like Candy mentioned, we are going to be presenting the standards and giving you examples of maybe what we've seen as we've reviewed self-studies and as we've reviewed site visit reports. So it will be a bit interactive. The presentation will have some examples of submissions where we will pause and ask the audience, how do you think this fits the standards? What is your interpretation? And hopefully by the end of the presentation, then you'll have a good feel for what best practices are when writing your self-study, and maybe also some ideas on what not to do, things that might not things that might make you do further work if you submit a self-study. So I would really love to see a lot of people in person because of the interactivity with this, but certainly using the hybrid technology for those that are viewing it online, we will allow you to use that chat feature as well. In preparing for our presentation, going over each of the standards, we have, like I mentioned, we've used submissions of self-studies, etc. But we've also looked at reports from NAACLS on commonly cited standards. And we've looked through archives of NAACLS news, question and answer sessions that NAACLS has held. But at this point, I would ask that if anybody is attending the workshop, if there are specific areas of the self-study or standards or site visit that you really want some help with, put it in the chat now or send an email to NAACLS after this meeting and just let us know what parts you really want us to focus in on, because we are really tailoring this to program directors as they prepare for the self-study and their site visit.
Yeah, if I can jump in real quick, sorry, Candy. Those emails can go to me and spence@naacls.org. Also, I think one of the exciting things about these November workshops compared to the Collect workshops, while I think both are of value, since the November workshops are so much longer in the day, there is a lot more advantage for interaction and things of these examples. I think the idea that Candy and Laura came up with to present examples of maybe things that didn't work so well in the past is a really great idea, and just something we don't have time to do in the February workshop because of the time constraints we have. So I just want to point that out before handing it back to Candy.
I just wanted to add that we do want to encourage attendance and participation. We are volunteers who have seen items, and we want to be able to share and help and assist. And we wouldn't be here if we didn't have an interest in trying to help you put your best program forward. And we can do that best by talking to you and working through some of these things. And that's why that interaction piece is going to be very prevalent. And we want you to be present to enjoy that and to really be able to discuss some of these processes and get a good grasp of what that standard and compliance guide is trying to point you in the right direction for. So we do want to encourage that. And we do want to encourage also, if you can reach out and let us know ahead of time so that we can probably gather some more materials and examples to share with you. So if you do have a particular area or a question, please reach out to Mark so that we can get that information ahead of time. Thank you.
I was on mute. I think I wouldn't be making that mistake anymore. All right. So we have a general Q&A right now. But before we do, let's get to a plug for our DLPs. People you see right here are gracious volunteers that have volunteered even more of their time to assist program directors with standard interpretation type questions. NAACLS staff is here for policy and procedure. The names you see here are for standard interpretation. So this is who you'll want to contact. If you have compliance questions about, standard 8 or standard 2. If you have questions like when's your self-study due, or about when will your site visit be, staff can handle those. So we have a limited in-person attendance today or virtual attendance. So obviously, if anybody does have a pressing question about an upcoming self-study that may be due in a month or so, or a site visit that is this season, we can take those right now. If you raise your hand or drop it in the Q&A box. If not, we can wrap this call up early.
But we do thank you for showing up, the few, the proud, the attendees.
All right. I am not seeing any questions, so we'll just go ahead and wrap this up. Keep an eye out on the NAACLS news for upcoming Dr. NAACLS events. And then if you do have any If you are attending the workshop, have any questions about maybe or comments about specific content areas you want to see, please email me at mspence@nacls.org. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.